So there's some interesting developments there.
Good.
Yeah, one of the key things here is to go into Anderson's dictionary and read the 3 pages that deal with war. We're in a civil war. We've been in a civil war ever since 1871. We came out of the North-South Civil War, and we went right into a United States versus United States Civil War.
Hey, Pat, I was thinking on that passport there that's over 40 years old. I wonder if that's around the time when Nixon went up the gold standard in, what's that, 62 or 3 or 4 or something? And that's when they started putting the passports in blue.
No, I think he had it before. I'll have to find out exactly what year it was that he got that passport. But basically, he had a passport ever since he was 5 years old, the guy did. And I think that he probably got his original one, or basically the one in the 1950s or early 60s.
Yeah, prior to 60. When
prior to basically them taking Kennedy out and basically Nixon or Johnson coming in and screwing everything up.
Right. I bet you it's around that time.
Yeah. So, but one of the key things here is everybody, when you read the definition in about war in Anderson's Law Dictionary, it has some things like when the regular course of justice is interrupted by revolt, rebellion, or insurrection, so that the courts of justice cannot be kept open, then civil war exists. And right now, we do not have courts of justice. They're closed to us because they have us listed as we are a rebellion against the national government. We're sided with the federal government, which is a foreign government, and it was copyrighted in England in 1871. So this federal government, United States, that is in power right now, is a foreign belligerent government. That's why all these damn belligerent laws and everything else. The right to vote was a privilege, a civil right privilege that was granted by this federal foreign government, United States, federal government. The age 21 is nowhere in the Constitution. The right to vote was given to a man when he turned the age of 25 and had been 7 years a citizen. The same requirement as a House of Representatives person. He became an elector at that point in time. It was the electors that were supposed to be electing the president and all of the key offices in the government. not someone that was age 21 or not a woman, okay? It's only in the federal government, the belligerent government, that has allowed those actions to take place. See, people don't look closely enough at a lot of these things. We knew that there were problems. You on the line, Bill?
Yeah, I'm on here. Linus on here too.
Okay.
Yeah.
When did Gerald get his passport? What year?
Let's see, this was about 1978.
When?
About 1978. I said about 1978.
That was his very first passport.
Yeah, 78. This is either 78 or 79. You know, he's had it 40 years.
Okay.
But the thing about that passport might have something to do with why it was like that.
What?
Yeah, AKA.
He had what?
He had an AKA name.
Yeah, the AKA name. Did you hear that?
No, I couldn't hear that.
I said he had an AKA name.
An AKA.
Oh.
Dual citizenship.
But anyway, he basically had the number was the same number that was on the back of his Social Security card.
Yeah. Yeah, that's surprised me. It was on the it was key punch on his passport.
Okay.
It was key punched the F, and all the numbers were key punched in. And it was 3, 4, 5 pages. About 5 pages of the passport punched in.
Okay. Bill.
Yeah.
Tell them what you did with some of your tax bills and where you sent them out to in Ogden.
Okay, on Ogden, it goes to well, you do the EFT part. You can do the EFT and use the 6,000 number. It would be your Federal Reserve number. You use that Federal Reserve number. If whatever number that you got on the back of your Social Security card is going to be your Federal Reserve number. So if you got a B, whatever that B represents. If you got a C, whatever that C represents. Always know what and from that point, you put exactly what's on the back of your Social Security card. Exactly.
Okay, for the bank routing number on what you did on the money order, you took the routing number, and you put the Federal Reserve corresponding Federal Reserve Bank that corresponds to the letter.
That's right. Exactly.
Okay. Now, in the account number, you put the exact number, letter and all, in the account number.
Exactly.
Okay.
I don't change that letter to a zero or nothing. I leave that.
And then you did a 1040V with that, right?
Yeah, you can do a 1040V or you can do it online.
Or you do it online, but you have to come in and you used your state EIN number, right?
The state EIN? No, you don't do that then. Not if you want to do your taxes. If you want to get rid of your taxes now.
You have to tie it in there to your EIN some way, or your Social Security number, right?
Your Social Security, that what happens is that bank routing number. If you put that bank routing number, the number on the back is gonna tie into your Social Security number automatically.
Well, I use the Social Security number to discharge taxes too.
Mm-hmm.
I use that. It don't matter because it's basically a number but an account number or a Treasury Direct number, depending on how you're using it.
And then, Bill, you can go back and OID that back, right?
Well, I just let you know I did nobody. You know, I was just so glad to get rid of it. I don't even know how to act. So, cause see, the thing about it, with OID, you gotta know what you're doing.
Mhm.
You know, I ain't gonna sit up there and tell everybody go out here and OID. I'm not gonna say that. Cause you can fool around there and have some problems.
Get a what do you call it? A privilege.
You can use the OID when you have basically made a conversion of lawful currency into a discounted currency. And you just did a lawful currency exchange in the process.
Okay.
Okay? Now you can do the 1099 OID because they withheld the discount from you.
Okay.
I recall looking at something they sent me a little while back that they did say I didn't make a claim on something. I didn't claim it. So that ain't right.
Yeah, see, when you're using that number on the back of the Social Security card, that is basically, and according to that other about the passport being the same number, then that has to be your real asset account number.
Right. So that's mean the IRS using it too.
Yeah.
And I also saw a mortgage company using that I had. They had it on a document, the actual number. I'm about to bust them with that because they went out there and had the money already, still trying to claim more. So it had to be the main number doing anything. I think the first one might be the one. Y'all still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, I'm here.
But well, then again, I think I probably used the second number I had. I had the newest Social Security card.
Yeah.
I used the newest Social Security card I had to discharge.
Yeah, you got to use the newest one because basically the other one is changed out.
Right. I know some years ago we were attempting to do this we probably didn't do it right, but we attempted to do the same thing. Somebody in 2006 or 2005.
What we did was put a zero instead of that letter, and it backed it out from us. That's what happened.
Yeah.
We right here adding stuff to what wasn't even needed.
Yeah, you should be able to take these money orders now and send them right into the Treasury and have these processed through.
It should be, yeah. But see, we don't know if that's just a discharge number or not. I don't know if you can. The thing is, there's two different processes. Discharge one thing is one thing, but to get something is another. So if you don't know, you can die.
Well, I'll put it to you like this: from what I'm saying, and don't hold me to this, but from what I'm saying is the money orders that Pat has designed. If we put in the routing number with that account, but on the back where it goes to, because you're asking for an account number, just like a bill. If you are requesting, just like you're trying to get rid of a bill, you would do it the same way. And if you have a Granite Trust number or an estate number, then those funds would be allocated to that account, from what I can tell.
You can have it direct or either EFT it to the bank for a debt. Let's say, for instance, let's say you had a balance in your checking account or an account. If you wanted to get rid of the debt, you have to do that the same process. Say if you had a loan and you were paying it on, you borrowed some money from the bank or mortgage from a mortgage company. Same process.
That's correct.
Yeah. Now, you should be able to take that money order, do a 1099-A or a 1099-C along with it, send that out to the same place, to that Ogden address, and put that in and have a bill sent by the Treasury, have the Treasury send a Treasury check to whoever.
Correct.
Same thing with a person. You should be able to do that way too.
Well, now, you got to remember this. You got to have a bill. You just can't just say, I'm sending this to such and such. You have to produce a bill. Because everything is primarily off a bill.
Yeah, or you do a 1099-A or a 1099-C along with it.
Yeah.
That's your bill.
Yeah.
A bill in lieu. That's your bill.
Tim.
You can get one up in the post office.
And for the money
Okay,
order,
now that's if you're staying in the system, okay? When you come out and you get back to being a national, instead of being a federal citizen, you become, and you're going to repatriate. You're not going to expatriate. You're going to repatriate back to being a national citizen. Okay? And right now, all the courts out here are closed to us, and they're all just federal administrative agencies, okay? They're closed to us because they have us listed as national public enemies.
Yeah.
So the de jure courts of the country are not open to us.
Well, I believe there's a way you can make them open to you.
Yes, and that's what I'm talking about here, okay? You have to go in and you have to basically make a statement and present your charges. You come in to revoke and to discharge your American national allodial persons of all their foreign United States and state of federal citizen pledges, debts, taxes, and liens and everything, and obligations to the federal United States.
Yes, there's one thing that I noticed, and this is something that kind of found out by accident, and this was within the last, I guess, 2-3 weeks. And since you mentioned that, is if you still have your voter registration card and you have not voted in the last election or whatever, you have to contact wherever you have that voter registration card and get it completely out of the system. Because if you don't,
this is all part of it, Bill.
Yeah.
Okay, listen up, okay? This is right in what needs to be done in that war definition in Anderson's dictionary. Okay? You have to come in and you have to basically revoke being in all your foreign federal allegiances and pledges. When you do that, then the sovereign nation, the United States, in its sovereign capacity, has to aid you in basically aid you in basically your right of repatriation back to being a national citizen and have the restoration and your restorative remedies restored to you.
You know what? I recall somebody been reading the paper the other day, and this lady had married a foreigner. And what they did, because she married a foreigner, they repatriated her to a state citizen. In other words, she couldn't vote no more. She wasn't a U.S. citizen anymore. When I say U.S., that means a voter is a U.S. citizen, from what I'm understanding here. Okay?
Well, she can't vote if she becomes a American national. She can't vote anyway.
Yes, and that's exactly what they did with her when she married that foreigner. She became American national.
Yeah, when she becomes an American national, a woman can't vote.
Right.
A person that's 18 years old can't vote. The only ones that can vote are ones that are of the age of 25 and been 7 years a citizen.
A U.S. citizen.
A United States of America national citizen.
I don't think they can vote.
The United States of America national citizen is the only one that has the right to vote after they turn the age of 25 and they've been 7 years a citizen, an American citizen. All the others voting out here is done as a federal citizen, federal United States, a belligerent citizen.
Right.
Okay? And the initial thing was when they set up the national United States government, they gave the people the right to vote at 21. The 21 was not in the Constitution anywhere. They did not put the word national in the Constitution because they did not want to, when you go in and read the definition of national in Anderson's dictionary, but nation, let me see, where the hell is it? The word national was excluded from the Constitution because it might seem to present the idea of the union of the people without being or without bringing into view that the one republic was formed out of many states. Okay? They wanted to keep it that it was made, that this nation was made out of many states. But towards a foreign power, the country presented itself as one nation. But the word national really is applicable to the whole Constitution. It's a national Constitution. And then all the the key office holders in the Constitution are under the first statute that was passed was the act to regulate the time, manner of administering certain oaths. And this also, Act, Statute 1, Chapter 1, Act, basically also was applicable to all the state governors, their Secretary of States, and other key offices in the state, too, that they had to do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States. And that was referring to the United States of America. But see, the bankers saw their hand in basically the deception of using just the United States instead of saying the United States of America. And they played upon that by going in and copywriting the all-capital United States. And then they deceived the people out here thinking that the federal United States was the de jure United States. It's a foreign United States. And it's a belligerent. And that's why ever since 1871, we've been in an American Civil War between the United States and the United States. One is the national, the other one is the foreign, belligerent, federal United States.
I think there's a court case out there, U.S. versus U.S.
Huh?
I think I read a court case many years ago that it stated U.S. versus U.S. Which
You're breaking up too much.
I said years ago I was reading something on a court case, and it was a court case U.S. versus U.S.
Okay.
I'll have to go look that up again, but I distinctly remember that. And say, boy, that's weird. United States suing the United States.
Yeah.
Anyway.
The United States as the national versus the United States as the federal.
Right.
Yeah, we can hear you, Gary, when you back away from the microphone. You're overloading it a lot.
Oh, okay. I must have a good mic because I'm like 6 feet away.
Huh. It could be a mic problem.
But I'm redoing that item, and see, we have to go into the Secretary of State's office in their national capacity. And the same thing going into the state Secretary of State's office in their national state office. And also the Attorney General and we would go in and we're calling upon the American sovereign nation by way of the National Office of Secretary of State for the National Constitution government and their constitutional oaths of office to aid in my right of repatriation as an American national for my national right of pardon and restoration of my rights, property, and estate. But we have to first revoke and to revoke and to discharge all allegiances to that foreign federal United States belligerent. The courts all were closed to us because we became a national public enemy. And that was addressed in the Trading with the Enemy Act. Congress basically made everybody that signed up with the foreign federal United States a national public enemy.
Well, one way to sign up is to get a voting card. And that's who you vote for.
Well, basically, yeah. And you vote for a bunch of foreigners to regulate your damn way of life.
That's right. Get rid of that, you get rid of 90% of it.
Now, it says, when a foreign war breaks out, it is the duty of the citizen to return home without delay. When the war is civil, it is his duty to leave the rebellious section and adhere to the regular established government. It's your duty to get the hell out of the federal system and get back to the national system.
Right.
But how?
You basically do what I just told you to do. You basically revoke and discharge all adherence to being in the federal system. Any allegiances and pledges, you revoke them. And you come back to the national side of the government through the National Secretary of State's office.
So what I believe that when Gerald did that, I think that's what happened.
Huh?
I think when Gerald got his passport,
Yeah.
I think that's what happened to that passport.
More than likely, yeah.
So that gotta go to the Secretary of State, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You might can do it to the passport if you send your expatriation paper in with it.
Well, you're doing a repatriation. Okay? You're revoking on the one side. So, yes, that's an expatriation from the federal side, but what you need to do is do a repatriation back to the national side. And you have to be pardoned.
Pardon? I think
Yes, and basically you can pardon yourself, okay?
Right. You can. You're the judge and the jury of everything, so pardon yourself from your court.
How you doing, Pepper? John, please, where's everybody?
You can't get around it.
Coming. Really? Yeah. What happened?
Last night, Taylor and Sean were going at it on the patio.
Yeah, repatriation, the restoration of a person to citizenship previously lost by expatriation, a return to the country of one's birth and citizenship of origin.
Okay.
I'm doing this for over 30 years, guys. As far as $100,000 in debt, correct?
That's what we have to do.
Yeah, and see, we expatriated away from the nation.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to come back and do a repatriation back to what we had previously lost.
Should have been.
Yeah. By all their fraud and everything else that they put us under.
Yeah.
The Pharaonic system of government, the Book of the Dead. That's what federal stands for. It's basically the Pharaonic Pharaoh's Book of the Dead all the way back to Egypt.
Oh, they got a game for you, don't they?
Yeah, I watched a movie the other day on Egypt, and basically these two archaeologists there, were one from France and the other one from Egypt. Basically, were going through digging up some tombs of some of the pharaohs or certain key members in the pharaoh's system, and basically they had all this gold and everything buried with them. Well, what would a pharaoh be wanting to have all that gold for? It wasn't to go into the next life. It was to keep that gold and assets away from the people, just like the bankers are doing today under this federal Book of the Dead. They're depriving the people of the useful assets that are out here by taking all the gold as much as they can off the market and burying it. Therefore, depriving the people of their usefulness. Things haven't changed one bit, okay? And you think you're free? No, you're not. You're enslaved. You're bound. You're under bondage.
That's
When you're in the federal system, you are a slave. to them. And they treat you as such.
Beautiful. Yep. Get out of the way. Get out of place. They come at you.
Yeah.
Probably that's the reason why they got these imperial courts, because they look at the U.S. citizen as inferior. And you go in there, you don't have no rights.
Yeah, that basically you come in as an American national and you revoke all federal allegiances and pledges, then they can't touch you unless you've actually done a heinous crime, and then you're going to be tried in that capacity anyway. Like murder or something like that.
Yep. You going to redo that document, you say?
I'm redoing the document that I had there for, and I'm calling it my national inherent allodial right of repatriation.
Okay.
Instead of right of discharge. Because I'm going to come in and I have the right to revoke and to discharge all foreign federal government belligerent contracts. They were all based upon fraud.
Hey, Patrick, this is Steve in California.
Yeah.
That kind of refreshed my mind about the Lieber Code, Article 38. It says private property, unless forfeited by crimes or offenses by the owner, can be seized only by way of military necessity for the support or other benefits of the Army of the United States. If the owner has not fled, meaning, you fled your nation if you went to the federal side, the commanding officer will cause receipts to be given which may serve the spoliated owner to obtain indemnity. So you can almost enforce that. You want indemnity, and you're giving them a receipt of your intent, kind of like a bill. Right?
But when we come in and we're getting the national government to stand behind us, when we repatriate back to the national government, then we will have the national government coming in and shutting this down and purging the books of all this foreign federal government.
Yeah, because you're...
charges against us, okay?
Yeah. You're going back to the original. You haven't fled like what we've been subterfuged into fleeing our national nation and going into the federal. We've actually fled. But if you haven't fled, they can issue receipts for you to get back in. That's the way I'm looking at it. It's either that or, get your land back or get whatever property was taken. You get a receipt to get indemnified.
Yeah, see, that's also covered in Title 46 USC Code, United States Codes, Title 46 Shipping Act under Section 73.
Okay.
That's okay. English law.
But see, it also pointed out that, we were supposed to initially have everything restored to us at the age of 25. Even the Social Security card was only supposed to be a 7-year contract, 18 to 25.
Huh.
But we continued to use it in the process, so therefore we were using it on what in Section 573, Section 8, subsection B, to where we continued to use the item on the same route that the foreign trade was being utilized on. So therefore, it was kept in play, but otherwise it was supposed to be shut down. So as long as you're operating in the foreign trade, then basically you can't shut this thing down. That's why you have to go in and revoke everything. And you revoke all foreign allegiances, pledges to the foreign belligerent federal United States government. And I listed my state of Iowa certificate of live birth because both the state and the federal state and the federal United States both are utilizing that one document as a federal document. The Social Security account is under the federal zoned United States government. The postal passport, the blue passport, is also under Versailles. The military DD-214 is under the federal zoned United States government, and also the certificate of baptism has been granted over to the foreign state Church of Rome. Then I'm revoking all foreign allegiances, pledges to the foreign belligerent federal zone state of Iowa government, the state of Iowa certificate of live birth, the driver's license, the certificate of title to my vehicle, and my voter registration card. Then I'm going to call upon the National Office of Secretary of State to aid in my right of repatriation. I'm also going to call upon the Attorney General's office, both at the national level and at the state level, because they're both, the national level is the American sovereign nation, and then at the state level, it's the Iowa, in my case, Iowa sovereign state level. And see, we have to go in, and when we're going to the national office, we're going to the sovereign. Which is the nation or the state. And we are the sovereignty of the nation or the state. And that's what we have the right of repatriation back to our sovereign. Because we are a sovereignty of the sovereign. You guys follow this?
Yep.
Yes.
But I found all this pretty much in that wars, about the Civil War. And see, we're still in a civil war. Then my very last thing is the United States national government now has 3 days to honor my right of repatriation. with all federal records being purged and my American/Iowa national allodial withheld assets and all other entitlements delivered to this American Iowan national owner in order to discharge the belligerent federal United States and state of Iowa of their American Civil War obligations.
It's kind of like when you said you turned 25 and you have the right to get out of the Army. It's like we had the right to get out of their foreign federal jurisdiction.
Right.
Same thing. It's just you're getting out of their Civil War. You're going back home to the right side.
Yeah, you're going back to
your origin.
Yeah.
That's what they were supposed to do when you did your service time, but they didn't do it.
What's that?
I think when you joined the military and you did discharge, you were supposed to have your right documents stored back to you.
Yeah, but see, they were still kept in, we didn't discharge because those discharge papers were all still registered under the Social Security number.
So
we were still tied into being being associated with the belligerent federal government.
Yeah, that Social Security number is like still wearing a uniform.
Yeah. It's keeping you in a belligerent state. And then see the driver's license, the voter registration card, all these other documents out here. Basically, they've all been attached to that Social Security number.
Okay, that's part of the reason why they call it a credit direct number.
Possibly.
So, like you said, they have 3 days to do it. Otherwise, it is an act of war against you because they're proscribing you back into their army or back into their Civil War when you're trying to get out.
Well, but it's the national has an obligation to honor our request. Okay? Our right of repatriation.
They have to honor our request, yeah.
No, they can't. Basically, the sovereign cannot force us. Now it would be the sovereign is forcing us to continue to be a belligerent against them.
Can you say that over again, what you mean? I know, I just kind of hard to get your mind wrapped the way you said it.
Okay. When we put our request in, okay, to the National Secretary of States, to basically, and to the National Attorney Generals, and also to the National Treasurer and everything else to have all of our items restored to us under our right of repatriation back to the sovereign. Now, if they do not honor that, our request of repatriation, then they are continuing to force us to be classified as a belligerent. Now they're the ones that are basically in violation of the law.
They don't care.
Don't say that, okay? We haven't approached them in the right way. Nobody in this fucking patriot community out here has done it in the right fucking way. You use shit like that, and I will start swearing a blue streak. Okay? They don't fucking care. They do care when their neck is on the line.
So, Patrick, would you suggest incorporating a lien in that and a claim against them?
No.
Deliver your intent.
That'll get them on the right side.
You do what is called for right there in that war definition. It has it right there. You
well,
have to Go ahead.
I said I just spent like 4 days in jail because of an inspection sticker, and I'm abusing my rights. So I'm ready to put some claims down on their ass.
No, you gave up your fucking rights. Okay? You're in revolt against the nation. Now, you're over as a federal citizen. You're no longer as a national citizen.
I'm listening.
They had every right to kick your fucking ass because you didn't fucking know the difference.
Well, it's a total abuse of power, so hopefully these standings will like that.
It's because the people do not know the law, and you're supposed to be responsible for knowing the law.
Yeah,
and you've been operating with the wrong laws out here.
Yeah.
Well, the statutes you're speaking of?
Huh?
The statutes that aren't laws?
No, they're not all of my laws, okay? Ever since the 14th Amendment, most all of that shit is bullshit.
Yeah.
So the countless statutes and shit that they put out there is obviously, it's not law. It's what they collect
it is for the foreign belligerent that is taking control.
Gotcha.
They're proscribing you. If you're not in the de jure, you're in the District of Columbia. They have laws that say that.
You're a corporation. That's what it's for.
Yeah.
Like you said, you're still wearing the uniform.
Damn, I thought I gave that up.
No, you didn't.
Never again volunteer yourself, the Navy.
Well, the Marines or wherever you want to be.
We should look up the word proscribe too.
That's the whole problem. Okay, it's real simple. Okay, when you read that definition and read it, you'll see why the courts don't do anything for us. I've been to every court out there. The doors are closed to me. They say, well, we don't have jurisdiction. That's right, because I'm treated right now as a public enemy to the nation.
What if you go in there as a prosecutor?
Huh? Even if
what if you go in
as a prosecutor, you're still, with that fucking Social Security card, you're still a fucking federal employee. You're a federal employee.
Gotcha.
Okay?
I feel you.
Yes, any one of their documents that basically has you tied into being a federal slave, they're going to treat you like a slave.
They did that.
Yeah. Well, in fact, when I was thrown in there, I felt treated far worse than any slave was ever treated.
Or animal.
Yeah. Well.
It's a goddamn disgrace to be part of a situation like that. I'm with you. Getting
right.
out of debt.
See, that's why you have to do this repatriation back to being a national citizen, back to the sovereign. You have to break away from this belligerent.
Well, wouldn't that document have to be an affidavit?
Huh?
Wouldn't that document be an affidavit for us?
I still didn't quite understand what you said. Slow down a little and speak clear.
Wouldn't that document you're putting in there should be an affidavit?
Well, it is, in a way. It's basically my will.
So, on a let's say for a court date, you go in there and present these papers to the court as a statement of fact to the judge. You hand them those things along with the other evidence of the tickets or whatever. Is that a good way to get it?
And you say, I revoke and discharge all oaths and pledges to being an American or a United States federal citizen. I am basically demanding my right of repatriation back to being a national citizen.
Can you do that like in a regular city court?
If it's an open court and it's a court of record, yes.
All right. You have to clarify that, obviously. Say, Judge, is this a court of record?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to give it a whirl. I'll put it on film if I can.
Well, I'd put it on paper, too, but basically...
Well, of course.
If you turn around and you get this document written up and send it to the Secretary of State in their national capacity, both at the state level and at the federal or at the national government level, the national state level, and the national nations level, okay, Secretary of State and the Attorney General in their national office, and then you can basically hand a copy of that to the damn judge. Say, I'm a national. You have no jurisdiction over me.
Gotcha. Sounds good. I like that.
See, I'm also demanding from the Secretary of State a green national passport for my right of safe and neutral passage.
You're not going to request a black one? Just joking.
Don't piss me off.
I thought I had to give it a try. That's just the way I roll.
No, there's several things that you ought to look up. Like I said, read that whole definition in Anderson's about war. Go into Ballantyne's and look up some of the items there, okay? Look up revolt, an insurrection, a rising against authority. The act of a seaman is unlawful and forcibly, unlawful and forcibly, or by fraud or intimidation, usurping command of the vessel, or depriving the master or other officers in command of his command. Public enemy, a nation with which the country is at war, or a subject or citizen of a nation with which the country is at war. So if you are a belligerent subject with the foreign, you are now a public enemy to the nation. But see, the nation does not put out a public enemy listing.
Sometimes they do.
Only the federal government puts out a public enemy listing.
That's true.
Yeah. Bondage, involuntary personal servitude, slavery. They placed you in bondage. Easement, okay? There's a
It's all the bonds.
ease, okay? Start off with just the word ease, comfort, contentment, enjoyment, happiness, pleasure, satisfaction. Now, easement, a servitude imposed as a burden on land. And see, that's what they've got you under all these different contracts, is they imposed an easement upon you and your property. Placed you into a servitude. Under easements. And see, it was originally supposed to be easement for years, for a specified period of time, which was supposed to be only for 21 years. Or like the Social Security account, 7 years. Or like the Selective Service, 7 years, 18 to 25. 7-year contracts are supposed to be, at the end of the seventh year, you are supposed to be freed. That goes all the way back to the book of, one of the books of Moses.
Well, biblical numbers, 7 means redemption. So.
Now, you're supposed to let aside. You were supposed to free your servant at the end of 7 years.
I'm damn sure ready to free mine after that experience.
They forgot.
They got to be dry.
Yeah. Involuntary servitude, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for a crime where the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. Now, that United States was referring to the nation, to the national.
So that would be Article 3 courts then.
Yeah. And see, that goes back to the 13th Amendment. That there is not to be any involuntary servitude. But is what they got you to do was to volunteer by deception.
Yep.
Not knowing that you were volunteering into servitude.
Scandalous.
And that was basically non-disclosure. That means all of their contracts are void. When you stand up and put them into the proper side of the war. War dissolves a partnership subsisting between citizens of the nations at war. The doctrine of the revival of contracts suspended during war is based upon considerations of equity and justice and cannot be invoked to revive a contract which it would be unjustly and inequitable to revive as the contract of life insurance. You have to sort of read between the lines of some of this stuff, but basically it's all right there. The president alone has power to license commercial intercourse. Commercial intercourse. Not commerce, but commercial. That means the use of debt money. All members of each belligerent are respectively enemies of all other members of the other belligerent. Were commercial intercourse allowed, it would tend to strengthen the enemy and afford facilities for conveying intelligence and even for traitorous correspondence. Trading may be authorized by the sovereign and to a limited extent by the military commander. What did they just say? Who can authorize commercial intercourse? The president. Some of the biggest traitors to this country.
Yep.
Woodrow Wilson admitted that he was.
Yep.
Eisenhower admitted that he was.
Yep.
Roosevelt died before he could open up his damn mouth and say that he was.
Yep.
But he was
Did the
taken
driver?
out. But he was taken out by his vice president there, old Harry Truman.
Has the driver come clean yet?
Nope.
Deathbed admittance.
I mean, people should have been totally awake to the fact of basically what's going on in this damn country. I mean, when basically a guy is brought up on treason charges and then turns around and a couple of years later becomes a senator of the United States, you ought to know something's totally wrong.
Amen.
And then later on, one of his sons and his grandson become president of this federal United States. I'm
That's
talking
just a
about
fiasco.
Prescott Bush.
That's because they have rigged elections. You know.
Yeah, and see, that's the people in this country don't even realize is that it's not popular vote that it elects the president. It's the Electoral College that has the right to elect a president?
They're bought and paid for.
Yeah, that's because all these other people that are voting out here, all these women and all these 18-year-olds to 25-year-olds that are voting aren't valid votes to begin with. Yet in this society, since there is very, very, very few people that basically are national citizens, most everybody out here is in bondage. So how can you vote freely? You're not. Even the Electoral College people that are going in there are under bondage. They're supposed to be free, but they're not.
Yeah, if you don't have paper ballots, it's kind of a joke anyhow.
But those paper ballots are basically, those aren't where it's at.
Yeah.
Okay? It's the Electoral College. It's the electors that basically are supposed to be choosing the president. The people that are over 25 and basically 7 years a citizen as a free man.
Right.
Only a free man can basically vote somebody into office.
That means they're electoral voters.
That's right.
So when you do the same, you'll be able to do the same thing. Go to the Electoral College. That's how you vote.
Yeah.
But you can, I believe you can, because we did it. Got rid of your voting card. You can do that right at the state level. That's where it began at anyway. And the Secretary of State, hey, I want my voting card canceled. I no longer want to be a voter.
Yeah. But see, you have to come in and you have to approach them under their oath of office on the national side. Not their oath of office on the federal side.
I believe you cancel it through them UCCs when you put the UCCs in there.
No, you do the UCCs and you're in the federal zone.
No, I'm not saying do one. I'm saying that when we had did one.
Yes, but anytime, that UCC is a federal document. Okay? So you start, it's not a constitutional national document. Okay?
All right.
Well, Patrick, do you think you could use it as intermediary?
The answer is no.
No, to use it as an intermediary,
You cannot mix and match national and federal and get out of the fucking system.
I'm not trying to do that. Hear me out. I'm trying to say, if you utilize the UCC as intermediary, so that your private can deal with the public.
Well, he's saying
that's not what you're dealing with here. Okay? See, that's what you're mixed up with. Okay? There's the private and public national, and there's the private and public federal.
So
okay, I'm all screwed up then.
Yeah. See, that's how they've got you totally screwed up. You have to stay away from the federal. Period.
All right, but Patrick, I know of a situation where there was a governor in the state. He was wearing both hats. He was being the private, and he was also being the governor of the state. This is something that we found out here recently.
He was able to operate in the national, and he was able to operate in the federal capacity.
Yeah, he was doing.
Okay, don't say private and public. Okay, you need to say federal and national. That is the two belligerents that are out here. You've got the national United States, and you've got the federal United States.
Well, he's doing both, whatever it is.
Well, he may have been national all the time.
Yes, but you have to approach them in their national capacity. That's what I'm saying. If you want to be a national, you have to approach the key people for the sovereign, and the sovereign is the national. The sovereign is not the federal. The sovereign federal is only that 10-mile square or whatever, that area, Masonic federal temple there in D.C.
Oh, so that's what they use to use their mixing the two things.
Yes. Yeah, the federal zone and basically the national. The federal zone is just a little dinky square.
miles off the ground, or 10-mile square off the ground, marked with
it's probably that
cornerstones.
Washington Monument that is a penis in the sky or something?
Yeah, it's cracked now. It's cracked now. I think it's defective. It's always been defective. Poor Horace.
Yeah. When the hell did
I'm glad I took 2 red pills.
When did they build that damn Washington Monument?
Hell, I don't know. But it's sure no pyramid. Wasn't built by any.
No, it's probably built by the Federalists. By the Federal. By the Pharaohs.
It's an obelisk.
Yeah.
Yeah, then you got the Pike Monument.
It denotes a rocket ship.
Yeah, so
the fallacies.
It was probably started sometime around 1871.
The fallacies.
It's got 2 flashing red lights in the top of it, right?
Well, somebody right now should be able to look that up on the internet and basically tell me what year that was started.
The construction was started in 1848. It was halted from 1854 to 1877 and finally completed in 1884.
See, they were in the planning stages of bringing that into power.
Yeah.
Yep.
I wonder if they got it fully repaired.
Then it was completed, like I said, after the Federal took over control. the pharaohs.
All the presidents have to go to the pyramids for some reasons for their initiation.
Yeah, because they're going to the Book of the Dead, the Pharaohitic. What Moses tried to get the people out of. And see, Moses only went there to free his own persons, okay? He said, let my people go, my persons go. He wasn't talking about all the Hebrews, but basically he woke them up and said that basically that's when the people put the red sign above their house that they were in compliance to come out of the system also. They were revoking their allegiance to the Pharaoh or to the federal government of Egypt. Okay, any other questions on what's going on here?
Well, I got a comment, Patrick, and that's like, you know, all these word usages and, you know, trickery and non-disclosure and everything else, it all kind of ties to mysticism, and that's what's retarded our civilizations for millennium. It's the hidden terms, the hidden meanings, and all that other stuff, and it's kind of weird that men and women like are so easily led by such Gnosticism or sophistry or, you know, symbolism, sigils, whatever you want to call it, you know, statues and everything else. It's I guess it's just a science of controlling people's minds.
Yeah, because basically they just want to get on with their life and think that's all they're supposed to do is just go out there and they're just supposed to live, work their ass off and die.
Yep, blend in with the herd.
Yeah, because that's what they've been taught by the religious sects and everything else out here. Oh, you're going to get to heaven, but you're not going to get to heaven here on earth.
I've noticed
our heaven was supposed to be here on earth. Okay?
I noticed that these churches, they do a lot of charities, and they'll feed your belly, but they don't feed your mind.
Yeah, and basically they're the ones that have their hand out, the 10% tithing.
They're blind.
See, even several states knew all about the religions out here, and basically they hung them just like they did the bankers' attorneys.
You know, idolism is control, and if you go to a church, they can't really tell you the truth because they'll lose their tax exemption.
Yep.
Yeah, they say go to City Hall and talk about it.
Yeah, but basically, in reading that definition about war and then about how the courts are closed to us, now that just reiterated everything that I've done in trying to go to all these different courts.
Yeah, they're supposed to be for us.
Yeah, but they aren't. So they're not real courts. Their doors are closed to us. And only if you want to pay for something, and basically, then they may give you something in return.
It's a business.
Yeah. But that is not the national court system. That's the federal court system.
I wish it was like Carl Lentz says, that you could just go in and say, this is going to be a common law court, and I'm control and stuff. But I think he's delusional. I think he should come over to Missouri and try to fight a speeding ticket.
Well, you get this green passport as a safe passage and neutral national passport, then these foreign federal belligerents can't touch you. If they do, they've now declared outright war against you. See, they can only bring you into their fold if you volunteer.
So just applying for the passport, then, Patrick, is not going to cut it. You have to dissolve those relationships first, and then apply for it.
Yeah.
For the green.
Yes, you have to basically get back to being a national first. But you can do it all in one swell swoop, okay?
I think it
through
was
the SOS.
Go ahead.
I was just saying through the SOS, like you were saying, right?
Yeah.
I think it would be a good idea if everybody in the state got together, like minds like us, and we all grouped together 25 people, and we batched the whole thing together, because they're going to have to jump through all kinds of hoops to get it done. If they got 25 people hitting them all at once, they're more likely to do it.
No, they'll do it on a one-to-one basis. They've got to. When you hold them bound to their national office oath that they had to take, okay? Yeah, they've got two oaths, and basically they're wearing two hats. And we've known all along that basically the Secretary of State and the Attorney General and a couple others have dual hats. Well, that means that they have dual oaths. They're holding both a federal and a national office.
Yeah, they get paid by the IMF, right?
No. On the federal side, they may be fucking getting paid by the IMF. But on the national side, they're getting paid by what their office is supposed to be giving them, okay?
All right.
Just know that there's a national and there's a federal, two different United States. You have to deal with the right United States. And that holds true at the state level, too.
It's called self-determination.
You have to know who in the hell you are first, okay? Which side of the fence are you on? And right now, I'll tell you, you're on the wrong side of the fence. And you should be able to climb over the fence. Or you should be smart enough to open up the door or the gate in the fence and go through it.
Yeah, you got to convince them that you're no longer the decedent.
I don't have to convince anybody. All I have to do is revoke.
Yeah, instead of being diplomatic, you just demand.
You basically revoke, and this you have the right to revoke and to discharge, okay, all foreign allegiances. Now, after you've done that, now you have presented that to the national, okay? They're public servants. For who? You. They're working for the sovereignty of the country in the best interest of the nation. They have to allow you to come back home.
You got abducted.
You got connied, okay?
We fell asleep
You went
at
to
the wheel.
You went to the carnival and you got conned out of some of your money, okay? It's that damn simple.
We fell asleep in a boat and we're out at sea,
Yeah.
just adrift. We're lost cargo.
Okay. Go in and look those things over. I'll try and post something to have Tom post up tomorrow before the call. And then you can talk about that tomorrow night. I'm going to wrap it up here.
That'll be great, Patrick. Thank you.
Okay. We'll talk to you
Thanks
later.
for the clarity, man. It's really getting clear now. The fog
Okay.
is clearing.
Yeah. Go
Thanks,
into the dictionaries, please.
Now looking at war.
Okay.
Yeah, time's getting closer. Bless
Okay.
you, Patrick.
Okay. Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Yeah.